Hi, guy number 2 here with more weekly challenges. For the 5th challenge, we had to go on an interplanetary imaging mission. So the challenge was to grab a rocket and fly it to Duna. At arrival, we had to land on Duna's moon, Ike, for the simple purpose to take a picture with Duna in the background. Once done, fly over to Duna and proceed to take a picture with Ike in the background. After that, we simply had to get everyone back inside the rocket and head back to Kerbin. Easy. And this was the rocket that was gonna do it. It consists of a lifter stage, a transfer stage, and most importantly, the lander stage, which was gonna land on both Ike and Duna, as well as do the return travel from Duna to Kerbin. And off we went. While ascending, we got rid of the solid boosters and continued on. It was a little bit wobbly, so a steeper ascent profile was needed. We got into an orbit and now the waiting began. For transfer to Duna, you need a phase angle of 44 degrees, meaning that if you were to draw two straight lines, one from Duna to the sun and one from Kerbin to the sun, then the angle between these two lines should be around 44 degrees. I used this image to help me guide me in the right direction. So after some tinkering with the maneuver tool, I finally got an intercept with Duna and did the transfer. During the transfer, we discarded the lifter stage and I finally got to use the new large nuclear engine, the Smurf. Approaching Duna, I once again got confirmed that the best thing about KSP2 is how pretty it looks. Anyway, after a capture burn, we got an intercept course with Ike. During the descent, we got ready to separate the lander from the second stage. The second stage burned out around 1300 meters above Ike, and the lander got down to the ground nice and easy. We got everybody out and lined up, added a little bit of flair to the place and got our photo with Duna in the background. The hydrogen tank from the second stage survived the impact and became a nice little reminder that we just dropped a nuclear engine on our landing site, but hey, space is filled with radiation anyway. Leaving Ike wasn't too difficult and we soon got a nice orbit around Duna. The landing site on Duna, however, was gonna be a little bit more tricky. Ike's orbit is what you could call a Duna stationary orbit. This means that Ike is traveling at the same rate as Duna's rotation. This makes Ike appear to be stationary over a fixed position on Duna. In our case, that means that if we land on the wrong side of Duna, we will never see Ike and would not be able to take a picture. However, landing directly under Ike will also mean that we will have a hard time taking a good picture with it in the background since it will be directly overhead. Instead, we sort of want to land so that Ike is in our horizon. This makes the landing site a little bit difficult to figure out, and the fact that Duna has an atmosphere adds to the difficulty of calculating exactly where to land. I will not lie, I did some retakes to make sure I finally found the correct landing spot. So after finding that spot, I got to descending. We were gonna use Duna's atmosphere to save a lot of fuel by deploying some parachutes, only spending a little bit in the last moment to slow us down enough. Everybody got out, or should I say on top, and we got our shot with Ike in the background. In regards to the fact that Ike is in a Duna stationary orbit, you can see it by the fact that even though we are time warping, Ike is still in the same place on the night sky. It was time to repack the parachutes for the landing back at Kerbin, leave Duna and head home. We got into an orbit around Duna and once again waited for the right phase angle. Traveling from Duna to Kerbin, we need an angle of around 75 degrees. This transfer was gonna be a lot trickier than our transfer to Duna, since the maneuver tool stopped working. Normally, when doing this transfer burn, you will burn prograde more or less in the opposite direction of Duna's prograde. That would lower our apparatus so that it would get closer to Kerbin's. However, the maneuver tool showed it like it would increase our apparatus, making it impossible, at least for me, to get an intercept course in one go. So instead of using the maneuver tool, I decided just to burn 700 Delta V and see where I would end up. Luckily, after escaping Duna's SOI, the orbit corrected itself and I was once again able to tinker with the maneuver tool until I got an intercept by Kerbin. And here we are coming close to Kerbin. Given that I was coming over the top of Kerbin, so to say, I decided to land on the pole. I had yet to travel to Kerbin's pole in Caspi 2, so I thought it was a good opportunity. Closing in on our re-entry, I decided to decouple the descent module from the rest of the lander. However, the Mark II lander has this weird lip at the bottom, which caught the rest of the lander. I did the only sensible thing when parts get stuck and I started rotating to see if I could just throw it off. It didn't really work. Luckily, the good old time warp physics fixed it for me and we were able to continue the descent. Distracted by the beautiful scenery, I almost missed the fact that the parachutes hadn't deployed by themselves even though they were armed. Another thing I like about KSP 2 is the pause button. But everything worked out and we finally landed. And while the sun was piercing straight through a mountain, showing that KSP 2, just like me, is a good looking mess, the 5th weekly challenge came to an end. I hope you enjoyed this imaging mission and I would really appreciate it if you dropped a like and subscribe. Farewell.